Watch as we dig into this masterpiece. Adolescence is a one-take series. We're in the 2020s, in an English town at dawn as police get into position. A 13-year-old boy, Jamie, is arrested on suspicion of murder. His father, Eddie, follows him through custody and procedure. Detectives begin a formal interview that digs into the previous night. The camera holds in one continuous take as pressure rises. Cold blue morning holds on a quiet residential street. Detectives and officers wait outside a brick terrace. Radios whisper, gloves adjust, and the team settles. They confirm the door and move in silence. The door splinters and uniforms surge through the hall. Names and commands echo up the stairs. Jamie, 13, is identified and arrested on suspicion of murder. The caution is read aloud as he says he has done nothing wrong. Luke and Misha control the room while the family calls out from the landing. Jamie is walked to a van while curtains twitch across the street. Eddie, his father, hurries to the side door and tells him to hold on. Doors slam, the engine rattles, and the van pulls away. Eddie gets in his car and follows. Harsh fluorescent light flattens the custody desk. Jamie's belongings are listed. Routine questions land while he watches the floor. A buzzer sounds and he's led deeper into the station. Jamie sits on a hard bench under a buzzing strip light. Eddie clears security and gets a brisk briefing. They are kept apart while paperwork is processed. The corridor hums with radios and swinging doors. In a small exam room, a nurse runs standard observations. Jamie answers softly and keeps his eyes low. Numbers are logged, then more waiting. The station noise returns as they move again. Then he stands for photos and prints. Officers inform Eddie that a strip search is required. He objects, then steps aside when told it must happen. Angles keep distance as the procedure is carried out. Jamie holds his clothes close when it's over. A solicitor introduces himself and shakes Eddie's hand. He explains Jamie's right to limit answers in interview. They agree to keep responses tight and measured. Papers are checked, then they head to the room. Everyone settles at the table and the questions start. Luke asks where Jamie was the previous night. Jamie repeats that he did nothing wrong. Silence stretches as the next line of inquiry builds. Detectives pivot to Jamie's online activity. They cite sexually explicit comments about female models on Instagram. Jamie lowers his gaze and speaks less. Chairs scrape, and the room feels smaller with every pause. A monitor is turned toward the table. Security footage plays, and no one speaks. Faces tighten as the images run. The footage shows the stabbing. The screen goes dark, and the room holds its breath. A Day 3 caption opens on crowded hallways and hard fluorescent light. Inside Jamie's school as detectives push for answers. Corridors churn with grief, rumor, and quiet fear. Friends close ranks while staff try to hold the day together. Detectives chase motive, the missing knife, and who knew what. Luke and Misha move through the noise, scanning faces and doors. Teachers steer students along, but whispers trail behind every step. The search for the weapon begins in ordinary classrooms. Jade sits rigid at a desk, eyes red and fixed. Luke asks about Katie's circle and whether Jamie was close. Jade snaps back and demands to know why this is still happening. Teachers shuffle them on while the detectives move to the next door. A shrill alarm tears through the building. Doors swing and the school empties into cold air. Jade charges at Ryan and the circle breaks with a gasp. Staff step in as Luke clocks every angle and face. Luke tries a softer pace and simple questions. Ryan stalls, drifting for exits that are not there. The next beat freezes him. Then he runs. Away from the yard, Luke gives chase through cars and tight corners. Breath fogs, shoes slap, and the frame never looks away. He dodges the line about the knife with, "What knife? Whose knife? Why me?" Ryan blurts the truth. The knife is his. Jamie was meant to scare, not use it. Silence lands heavier than the wind. Ryan is arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to murder. There is still no weapon, but the day has shifted. The school thins to scattered footsteps and long shadows. Across town, Eddie places flowers at the car park memorial where Katie died. He stands alone with the cold and the quiet. By sundown, one confession and one arrest change the case. Inside a secure youth facility, where a psychologist meets Jamie, Bryony begins a final session to understand how he thinks and what he knows. They talk about family, school, and the night everything went wrong. Small talk turns into anger and hard truths. By the end, the room can barely hold what Jamie says and what Bryony won't say. Bryony signs in and clears security. Cameras watch the corridor, and doors buzz open in sequence. A guard walks her toward the interview room. Signage labels the site as a secure training center. She carries a hot drink and goes inside. Bryony greets Jamie by name and sets the drink on the table. She keeps her tone light and asks simple questions. They swap a few lines about accents and grandparents. Jamie relaxes a little, then studies her carefully. Bryony steers toward family and what being a man means to him. Jamie defends his dad and admits the anger at home scares him sometimes. He asks to see her notes. Bryony says she is preparing an independent pre-sentence offense report for the court. The air tightens before the real fight begins. A question lands wrong and Jamie snaps. He smacks the cup away and raises his voice. A guard checks the door and steps back. Bryony steps out to reset and watches him on a silent CCTV monitor. She returns and continues. They talk about what teens consider normal with dating. Jamie boasts, then admits he lied about experience. He says he saw topless photos from school, including one of Katie. He recalls asking her out after the leak and being laughed off. He describes the online comments that followed. Jamie calls himself ugly and waits to be told he is wrong. Bryony does not give him the answer he wants. He hurls a chair and stalks the room. The guard hovers outside while Bryony holds her ground. Jamie paces until the fury burns down. Jamie says videos can lie and denies the worst. He says he had a knife that night and that she was afraid. He says he did not touch her, though he wanted to. He claims most boys would have, and stopping makes him better. Bryony keeps her voice level and lets the silence work. Jamie backpedals and blames tiredness. Bryony asks if he understands what death means. He softens for a moment when he speaks about Katie. The session feels close to the end. Bryony says this is their final meeting. Jamie asks if she likes him and spirals when she will not answer. He pounds the door window and a guard restrains him. Bryony stays, shaken, then gathers herself and leaves. 13 months after the murder, on Eddie's birthday, the Millers try a simple plan to hold the day together. They leave the house, meet the world's anger, and keep going. A phone call from Jamie forces a choice no one is ready for. By night, the family ends exactly where the story began. An on-screen card reads 13 months after. Sunlight edges into a quiet kitchen. Eddie's 50th begins with small talk, not celebration. Manda and Lisa keep the mood steady. They step out together. They reach the van and stop. Fresh paint spells nons across the door. Eddie stares, jaw tight, then keeps moving. They get in and go anyway. Traffic hums through a gray morning. They talk around the day without naming it. They drive into town. Eddie, Manda, and Lisa move together, heads down. Side glances follow them like shadows. They walk until the voice fades. They sit in a parked silence. They pull away. A ringtone cuts through the engine noise. They are still driving when Eddie answers. Jamie says he will plead guilty. Manda covers her mouth. Lisa looks down. No one talks while the line is open. The front door closes on a house that feels smaller. Eddie walks to Jamie's room and stops in the doorway. Posters, the bed, the things left behind. He sits, breath shaking, and folds into the quiet. Manda and Lisa keep to the landing. Eddie stays with the boy who is not here. He lifts Jamie's teddy bear and holds it close. He whispers, "I'm sorry, son. I should have done better." The house is silent except for one man breathing. The day ends where the story began. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It absolutely means the world to me. If you did not like the video, please leave a comment about it, and I will use it to improve further videos. Consider still subscribing as you will be able to see I have received your critique and improved my videos. Have a fantastic day.